to order at 6 o'clock. We have 2 absent, but we still have the quorum, so. Doug, would you lead us in the prayer?
Dear Heavenly Father, I'm just so thankful for this day. I'm so thankful for you, Lord. I just ask that you be with those that are affected by the shootings in Mansfield, Lord. Just be with their family and just help them to heal, Lord. I ask that you be with those that have lost loved ones recently. Father, I just ask that you be with them and hold them near and be with those fighting sickness, Lord. And I ask that you keep this school safe and healthy and be with this board as they make decisions for the best interest of this school district. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Okay, we don't have anyone on open forum, but I do see a lot of guests, so we will let the guests go first. Mrs. Searles, do you have some?
I do actually. Okay, so it's always hard to decide what guests to pick, but I feel like our teachers don't get recognized enough, and so I picked them. These are teachers who had perfect attendance the first 6 weeks, and with COVID numbers like we had at the beginning of the year and lots of illnesses, and they have babies and they have all kinds of stuff they have to take care of, and they didn't miss a single day in school, and that's really, really hard. And so I just wanted to recognize them for their dedication to the school and the kids and all the hard work that they do, and being there every day is not easy, and so that's what I want to recognize them for. Shelby Allen, Mr. Barrett, come up here and get some. Candace Brasfield, Tarja Brown, Monica Fry, Cassie Greco, Ashley Hanson couldn't be here, Margaret King could not be here, Amy Klaus, Lisa Mesnick, and Deidre Wiggins. And so, out of 58 people on my campus, you can see how hard that is to be here every day, and I wasn't there every day myself. We all got sick, but they were there, and I just appreciate the hard work. And all my staff work really hard, and you can't avoid missing sometimes, but that's just a feat that I think they need to be recognized for.
Great job. Thank y'all for coming. Appreciate it. Yeah, how long has it been since you had perfect attendance? Got a certificate for it.
They needed it.
Yeah, you did. That is a big accomplishment. Mr. Pearson?
I brought with me our student council president, Riley Carr, and our vice president, Elizabeth Sheck. They're going to talk a little bit about things that are going on with student council that we did last week and upcoming events that we got going on.
Swiftbridge Junior High Student Council just ended our September canned fruit drive. Coach Brewer's 6th grade advisory period, with a total of 321 cans. Altogether, we collected a total of 601 cans. We will be delivering those to Connect Community Services here pretty soon. October 18th through 22nd, we will be collecting socks for Socktober. Socks are the #1 item needed at homeless shelters, yet one of the least donated items. The socks will be donated to the Salvation Army Homeless Shelter. We will plan the dress-up days for Red Ribbon Week, October 25th through 29th for the Junior High America Monday. America says no to drugs. Show your American spirit by dressing up in red, white, and blue. Team Up Tuesday, team up against using drugs. Wear your favorite team gear. Face Off Wednesday, students dress in country or city. because no matter what, where you are from, we all say no to drugs. Twin Thursday, pair up and say no to drugs. Find a twin to show your support and not allowing friends to do drugs. Scare Away Drugs Friday, wear your Halloween costumes and scare away those drugs. November we'll be collecting items for blessing bags, and in December we'll be collecting tape and wrapping paper for CCS wrapping the angel gifts. That's all.
Good job.
Okay, while Tara's taking pictures, let's see, Vanderpool, do you have some?
I do. I have Miss Rhonda Cheney, who is our, pretty much our sponsor for our CNA program. It's through the Healthcare Pathways. So Haley Raper is here. I'm going to let her talk about what they've been doing. We invited Emily Vaughn and Serenity Barnett as well, but I believe they're at work. These girls are going to graduate with a CNA certificate. They can use it later on in life when they're working in college. They can use it to go into the medical field and pursue RNs. And as we move forward with the high school, we want some of those career certifications to push forward, even, you know, for welding, HVAC, other medical professions, things like that. But I wanted her to stand up and tell you kind of what they've been doing and what they've been up to in their practicum and their clinic.
So first, I want to thank you, Mr. Vanderpool, for being so supportive in this. We really appreciate it. We've never really had anything like this before. It is a very good opportunity for us because we're going to go out of high school and instantly have in high school we're going to have jobs already. We don't have to go to college or anything. So it's going to be really nice. It's been a lot of hard work for us. 4 years we've had to go through all this and been a lot of hard work, but it pays off because we're doing these clinicals now, which is a lot of fun. And so he's helping us get all of our stuff ready for the clinicals, and we get to go and have fun with the old people, and then we get to go, where are we going next?
Same place.
We're going to the same place again, so we get to see people again. It'll be a lot more fun because we went last Wednesday and we didn't really know what we were doing. But we got experience, we learned a lot of things, and now it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to go back and do even better. Where do we go the next time, do you know?
Same, you're gonna go the same place all 5 times?
Every time? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we were supposed to go to different places, I
Yeah,
thought.
they were
But
planning.
we're just
on-
gonna, I guess we're just gonna go to the same place every time, but we're gonna learn a lot more. It's been kind of hard because we're like really fast moving. We get through it really quick, just the 3 of us. So we're just, each day we're kind of like going over the same thing over and over again, but then we go to the clinicals and we're right on it. We know what we're doing. But yeah, we want to thank you a lot for being so supportive. We really appreciate it. That's all I got. I didn't come up with this picture.
Thank you. Do you have anybody, Mr. Williams? Did you
I
bring
don't.
any guests?
They stole all my student athletes for all they did. Yeah, well, he's not a very good speaker, but as y'all all know, he saved my life.
Thank y'all very much for coming. We appreciate it. We love to see and hear what y'all are doing. And it sounds like you're going to be very busy the next month. And you do not have to stay for the boring part of the meeting, but you're more than welcome to. But if y'all want to go, you can. I'll leave it to y'all.
Very supportive. I mean, it was funny because she was worried she was about to go up there and cry. She was like, oh, don't do it, don't do it. Yeah.
Not very many people wanted to stay for the fun part of the meeting. Next time I won't say boring, I'll say fun. The fun part is meeting. Okay, so next up is the consent agenda. Has everybody had a chance to look at that? Is there anything you want to talk about? If not, I need a motion.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I have a motion by Billy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Doug. All in favor? Okay, motion carries. I do want to say in that for people that can't see it or whatever, we did get a $1,000 donation for girls basketball.
It's from Coach Merker's uncle. He has a business.
So that was nice and helpful. Okay, regular agenda. First thing is we're going to discuss the town hall meetings and the open house for the bond. You're going to do that? No?
Okay, we talked about doing the open house and bond meetings, and so I made a flyer. I looked at dates that kind of worked around, football games and volleyball games and this type of thing, and so the dates we come up with, or I came up with, was October 12th, the 16th, the 28th, and those are all, if those don't work for y'all, we can certainly change them. We don't have volleyball next week, and so it opened that Tuesday and Saturday up. We do have band on that Saturday, but it's at 1:45, so I thought if we did 10 to 12, that would allow people to come in the morning. And, there's October 21st, the game. There's junior high and JV football that night. It's in Olton, so I don't know how many people, will travel to Olton. That's a pretty good way. So, if we wanted to do one that night as well or change one of those dates, we can certainly do that. What we wanted to do with the 12th and the 16th is, early voting starts the following week. So we wanted to be able to go ahead and address the public before early voting started. And so on the 12th from 6 to 8, we'll do the open house, and then we will do a bond information meeting in the elementary cafeteria at 7 o'clock for those who want to stay and go to that. And so if those dates work for y'all, then we can post the flyers and get this going, and if not, we can change them, whatever works with y'all.
I think 6 hours total is enough, I'm just asking.
Well, that, I was just guessing. We can do more if you think we need to do more. I just threw those dates out, and so.
I think with that, and then we're going to do the video still, and then a live, maybe.
We can do a live feed
Yeah,
as we go through.
a live feed. So I think that's plenty with that. I know that if all the elementary children are like my grandson, he came home going, oh, you should see the new part. They opened the doors. We got to see. It looks so good. And this is from a second grader. So I'm sure that went home across the board, or at least it did to my house. But so anyway, if y'all are good with that, any changes? Yeah, we can take turns going up there. We can all go up to all of them, whatever everybody wants to do. We'll schedule it, figure it out.
And also, to go along with the open house, we made, Mr. Hine made a flyer that talks about the bond, the impact it would have on taxpayers, and how it won't affect those over 65, and just informational flyer. We're going to blow these up and make them a little bigger, and we're going to post these around town, so that way, that the voters can see the information about the bond. We're going to post these flyers around. He finished the video. We got it approved by the lawyer. Do y'all want to watch it real quick, or? Did you take a bunch out?
I just took one slide out and then added the financial section at the end. So.
Y'all want to watch it?
Sure.
Yeah, he didn't actually nix anything. I was shocked.
Really?
Winter Storm Uri struck Texas in mid-February 2021. Not only did it cause substantial damage to our elementary school, but it brought to the forefront several deficiencies in this facility. The roof was compromised due to poor installation. The windows did not drain water properly and therefore were leaking and rusting out. The vinyl covering all the walls in the interior of the building prevents drying of the walls in floods and can lead to dangerous mold conditions. Due to the issues caused by or brought to light by Winter Storm Uri, the district performed emergency repairs to the roof and pre-K wing of the elementary building. These repairs included temporary roof patching, full roof covering with Duralast, removing sheetrock for mold remediation, removing all vinyl from the walls, replacing all windows in the wing, and remodeling the wing to put it back in service. Sanford Ridge ISD is proposing the following bond expenses. Reimbursement of the emergency repairs to the elementary school. And in the elementary school, removing vinyl from all the remaining walls in the building. Replacing all the remaining windows in the building as well. And remodeling all the remaining hallways. Also in the elementary building, repairing the stage divider doors. And remodeling the large playground for ADA compliance. At the junior high building, we'll be expanding and remodeling the playground, as well as adding a new security door outside the office. At the high school building, remodeling the restrooms outside the gym. And both for the high school and the junior high, purchasing new band instruments. At the football field, resodding the entire field, and replacing the goalpost with safer single-pole posts. In summary, this is the list of the bond proposed expenditures. The proposed bond would raise $5 million of revenues for the projects we just went over. It would add an estimate of 13 cents to the current tax rate. This 13 cents would have the impact of, on a $25,000 home, $32.50 a year, on a $50,000 home, $65 a year, on a $100,000 home, $130 a year, on a $125,000 home, $162.50 a year, and on a $200,000 home, $260 a year. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to contact us at the Administration Building, the Superintendent, Jason Garrison. Send an email to eagles@sfisd.net, or you can call 806-397-0621.
That was good. I liked it. Looked good.
Hey, we need to add that in there. Do you think that adding into that, for taxpayers that are 65 and older, there will be no tax increase?
Actually, that'd be a good idea. I'll have to run it by the lawyer again, but I think that would be a good idea. I just didn't think about it.
Yep.
As soon as you said it, I was like, oh, yeah, that's.
Yeah, that would be great after we did it all, and then say for,
Yeah.
Yeah, grandfathered in, so just
Yeah.
put that part in, yeah.
I will say, just so that you guys are aware, one of the changes we made to our broadcast tonight is what's on the screen is actually being broadcast, as well as a little picture of y'all in the corner. So everybody, if anybody was watching on the internet, they got to see it. So.
Oh, good.
Cool. Do we need to put the amount of years for that bond? 20?
We went with 25 to maximize the amount that was left. So there'll be a full 10 cents left for a future bond if there was an emergency.
Right.
So
I don't know if we need to add that on there or not.
It's up to you.
25-year bond there. Some people won't know that kind of stuff.
Yeah, okay, I can add it. Like that place where I say it's $5 million bonds, I just put it right there.
Sure.
All right, any other comments or questions about that? Okay. All right, so I guess just go ahead with the flyers and
Okay,
all
I'll
that.
get that done.
And where are you gonna put the video? Are you gonna put it on the website or?
Probably post it to Facebook, put it on the website, get it out as much as I can, and YouTube, Instagram probably. As many places as we can get it to that somebody might see it.
Jason, you got TikTok yet?
And I'm still, you guys requested the other one with where we go from in the school, and I'll start work on that one. So.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, we've all talked about it, and when we were, at the convention, they had their admins do, their campuses, they had some of the school board members, so.
Yep.
Any of these guys might volunteer to do it, so I don't want to be on there.
Anything we publish as a school, we just have to run by the lawyer.
Yeah.
If you publish it on your own Facebook page, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right, but yeah, once you kind of start planning that, if Ms. Searles, or if you want any of us to help you out or whatever, just let us know. We'll all help. Okay, and let's do the next on the diagnostic instrument.
Okay, the commissioner this year, all the 7th graders, beginning with 7th grade, we have to have a diagnostic reading tool. If they did not perform proficiently on the reading test, and so the commissioner is allowing us for a year to have a waiver. There's 4 on his list. The one that we've chosen to use this year is not currently on his list. As you can see, when he sent this out, we'd already started school. We'd already chosen our instrument. And so with that being done, the commissioner is allowing us just for this next year to be able to, or this year, to use whatever instrument as long as we get a waiver approved by y'all. And so, Mr. Pearson, did you want to add to?
Yeah, I'll put down, read you what Ms. Broadus wrote. She's used the Common Lit, which is the program Mr. Garrison's talking about. She used the free program last year, and we purchased the whole program for all of our English and reading teachers. And this is what she put down. The reason for using the Common Lit diagnostic data is that it's tightly aligned with the grade level standards, reading fluency, and word recognition. The use of the data creates easily identifiable gaps in learning, which gives the teachers the opportunity to make informed instructional decisions. Students will receive a raw score as well as percentile score that is compared to other students in the same grade that took the diagnostic test. This in turn allows our school district to identify any areas of need for our students. The data not only helps the teachers recognize students that are in need of further testing, but also helps the differentiation instruction for all students. And the continued use of this program will help provide teachers with ongoing opportunities to monitor, assess, and differentiate all of the learners. And with me being the administrator, I get to look at a whole bunch of data that they got. And we finally got everything signed up today because we had to do a phone call with them first to get actually set up in the program. But again, the teachers have already been using it, so all that data that they've collected transferred over. And now we got everybody that's in our ELA program department working on this stuff and collecting as much data as possible. And we compared, because some of them had already taken the diagnostic test anyway, we compared it to last year's STAR reading. Some improved, some down a little bit, but it's very comparable as far as identifying where they were at. And it gives you a lot of good data.
But it's not on the list, so
Yes,
next year
ma'am,
we
that's-
have to.
Yeah, that's why we just have to ask y'all to do the waiver for this year. That way we can make the plans to to do exactly what we need to do for next year to get everything set up.
Is that gonna create any problems for next year?
No, sir.
Okay.
Is that built in the budget already?
Yes, ma'am. We already got that taken care of, and especially for this year, and if I need to, that's no problem. You take it out of my pocket and pay for it.
Somebody write that down.
Yes, ma'am.
We actually, ESER 2 is paying
Yeah.
for
Okay,
this.
good. Okay. All right, does anybody have any questions? Comments? Okay, then I need a motion.
I move to approve a waiver request to use a reading diagnostic instrument that is not on the commissioner's adopted list.
Okay, I have a motion by Doug, do I have a second? Second by Mike. All in favor? Okay, no opposed, motion carries. Alright. And then we need to consider an action on nominating. Is it, I don't know, I got a letter from the appraisal district about them sending their nominees, and we got so many votes, so is it too late to do a candidate, or is it?
No, we just have to have it turned in by the 15th of October.
Rusty said he would if no one else wanted to. Does anyone else want to be on the Hutchinson County Appraisal District Board?
He was on it before.
Yeah, he was on it before, so, yeah, and he's
We'll
not here
renominate
today.
him. He's not here.
He's experienced.
Yeah, he knows, he did, I can show you the text, I'm not making it up, he really did text me and say that, so. Okay, I say we nominate Rusty. Yay, Rusty. I need a motion for that, though.
I move to approve the resolution to nominate Rusty Ratliff for the Board of Directors for the Hutchinson County Appraisal District.
Okay, I have a motion by Mike, second. Second by Logan, all in favor? No opposed, motion carries. All right, now on to campus reports. Mrs. Searles, you're first.
Okay, as you can see, I've just thrown in some pictures of some things we've done around campus. We went to the pep rally, the homecoming pep rally, and the kids really liked that. The next group of pictures, Miss Wiggins had the teachers nominate some students who were her leaders of the 6 weeks, and so I think she chose about 6 from each grade level, and she had a table set up in the cafeteria, and they got to eat with her, and she had cookies they got to decorate, and it was a really great idea. They got a lot of recognition. The problem is we had a lot of pre-K kinders who didn't understand why they didn't get to eat with Miss Wiggins, so there was a whole lot of tears as well, so it was a little bit of a disaster for the pre-K kinder. But we've got a different plan about how we're going to set tables up in the hallway by the gym this time, so it's not right in front of their faces, but they still do have a special table. Plus, I mean, it's also, I think it's good for them to learn. We don't all get to sit and we don't all get to win. We have to earn that, and so I think they need to learn that we don't all get to do everything, and I think that's a good life lesson for them as well. But they were pretty happy about eating with Mrs. Wiggins and earning that leader, and I think, you know, it's great for them to learn to just push and be leaders, and they get to earn something as they go. Today we went to the fire department. We had pre-K. Fire department came to us just so pre-K didn't have to walk across the street, and they all got their hats and color books and things like that. And then kinder and first went to the fire department and got to see the trucks. They had like a little trailer there that was a makeshift model house, and they got to go in through the kitchen, and it looked like the stove was on fire, and they got to learn how to put out a fire with a fire extinguisher. Then they all got to go in the bedroom, and they shut the door. They put smoke through the room, and they had to learn to touch the door to see that it was hot, and then they had to learn how to escape through a window. And so they opened a bedroom window, and the fire, men are outside the window helping them climb down a ladder. So they actually gave them a real world experience on how to deal with the fire in their home and what to do. So it was pretty fun. It's nice for them to be able to get to do some of those things too. We've had a lot of parents coming to eat lunch with our kids this year again, so The next page, I've thrown in a few informational just graphs and things for you. This one, hopefully you can read it. It's through our NWEA map growth. Our students take NWEA tests 3 times a year just to see where they're at. So of course this is just our beginning chart for math and showing the growth, maybe that they have or haven't had over the summer, whether they've had any regression. But our students, kinder, there's not a growth because they did not take this test in pre-K, so there's not a growth to see. First grade is a little bit, the little triangle, diamond, whatever you want to call it, is the norms where they should be, where they project us to be. First and second are a little bit below the projections, and I really feel that that's because first and second were the ones that were in pre-K kinder when we had COVID. And so some of those didn't get a full year of education, and so we're, making up some of those gaps. Third, fourth, and fifth, they've had more schooling behind their belt, so they're really, on track or above where they should be in math. The next page is language arts, same type of thing. There's not a measure in first grade for that one because they didn't take it in kinder and they didn't take it, or they didn't take it in pre-K and they didn't take it in kinder because of those, we have to have certain specific accepted reading literacy tests like what Mr. Pearson was talking about for 7th grade. We have those as well in pre-K kinder, and now we have it in first and second as well, so we'll have a little bit of data change when we start doing those. But pre-K kinder first take some different tests, so they didn't have a growth measure to look at for those previous years. But 2nd grade would be one of those grade levels that didn't get a lot of what they needed. And then 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I really feel like they've got a lot of growth in their data. So what we'll do is, again, in January, we'll take the test and we'll have another chart to see where do we go from beginning to middle, and those numbers should climb. So that's where I expect those to climb. The next page is a projection. It's a pie chart for math, and it's showing, okay, if these kiddos were to take STAR tests right now, this is where they would project them to be. And so we've got a little work to go. We've got 42% at the approaches. That's the yellow, 18.9 at the meets, and masters is the 7.2%. So we've got 31.7% they're projecting right now would not pass STAR in math. And so, we're at the beginning of the year, so we've got to keep working on that. And then reading is the next page for those projections as well. And you can see the pie chart there. So as we go through the year and then we have the year under our belt, we should increase those numbers for you. And we'll have another chart that we can compare again in January to see where our numbers are looking. And the nice thing is the teachers, they have, when you really start digging deep into the data, they have numbers, they have these charts the tests give them a lot of specifics on what they need to work on. Where are these kids weak? Every year we can look, where are these kids weak? What skills do we need to target? They build their RTI groups that they work with on specific skills for specific kids. And so they do pull those kids back to their tables. We have intervention, whether it be with our special ed teachers, the actual core teacher working on those skills that we need to build. And so then they do little mini assessments through DMAC, and we can look at some of that next time. I can bring some DMAC data. But they have DMAC tests, and then we can get focused on those skills to see, are we growing? Do we need to pull again? What do we need to do? So we've got lots of numbers, data that we're working on that help us build our groups and how we're focusing on instruction for our kids.
Does that data go directly to the teacher?
It goes to the teacher, and then I have access to the data, and then Mr. Garrison can pull the data as well. Yes. And so, kind of depending on what you guys are wanting to look at, we can start bringing different graphs and things in that you want to look at as well.
When you do this next, like for January, would you put this graph and then the progression?
Actually, what it does, there's another chart that we can pull, and it actually shows where were they in September and where are they in January. But yeah, I can bring this as well.
Okay, show us trends and all.
Yeah, there's tons of information we can pull. But DMAC is a great program. We in the past, we really started with 3rd grade because they're our STAR tested grade. That's where we started with DMAC testing and tracking data. We've got data back, several years now as well. But, so last year, actually 2 years ago, we started implementing DMAC in second grade as well for reading and math because, you know, we knew that if they could get in the practice of the test, that took some of the stress off teaching the test to third graders. Well, this year we actually have started implementing DMAC in first grade. So we have first graders taking these DMAC tests, and you can tell every year it just really helps when they see those questions and they see, you know, how, you know, what they're expected and the rigor they're expected. It just helps every grade above that. So we have even pulled it down to first grade this year as well, and the teachers are just seeing some dramatic increases. And when you see what first graders are doing on a math test, it's amazing when they start using strategies and all the things the teachers are teaching them. It's really cool to watch how much they're learning, growing. So
This is just your campus, correct?
yes, that's just my campus.
Okay, it just said math K through 12, and I know the students.
Yeah, and it's the test, they call it K through 12,
Okay.
but this is just elementary. We're the only ones that use this NWEA data. It's, they feel like it's fairly accurate to what, you know, the STAR predictions. There's even, in this test itself, there's ACT, SAT predictions. They feel like you can test a kid this early and tell what they would do on their SAT, ACT. They're out, you know, there's some stuff you can get for high school based on these tests. They feel like they're that norm reference, like that accurate. So, but there's a lot of things we're doing with some data. Any other questions about the data?
And how often did you say you pull that?
We do this one 3 times a year. DMAC we do tests, unit tests. We do 6 weeks tests for each core subject. And then also after all of the tests, the teachers and I sit down and we have data dialogues and we talk about every single test. Where were your weak areas? What are you going to do to work on the weak areas? You know, it's really, really cool. Like, and they even compare, most of these teachers are data experts. And we just looked at a, you know, third grade reading test the other day, and, you know, she was like, last year, you know, they were doing this, but this year they're doing this. So they even know, compare year to year, and they're like, this is so much better than even last year. So they're seeing, they watch trends in their own kids. They look at their own teaching styles. What do I need to do? Last year's kids were weak here. This year these kids are great here. So I need to focus on this area instead, because we want to trend it. We want to base it on each kid's or each grade level, and then each kid specific too.
So you do a 6 weeks test on the core subjects too?
Yes.
Can we see some of that sometime?
Mm-hmm. Now, they typically all course subjects do 6 weeks tests. Sometimes they do like a unit test, which might be kind of their 6 weeks test, so kind of roughly 6 weeks-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes. And then on the next page, got some coming up events. Like I said, fire departments. We're going to have our Red Ribbon Week at the end of October. Hutchinson County Sheriff is also going to come visit us during Red Ribbon Week. We wanted to make sure they're getting some positive visits with our kids, not just kids seeing some negative, you know, things that they might have experienced at home. So they're going to come out and do a little visit and hand out stickers. We're doing our Halloween parade on October 29th. And got GT coming up and music programs.
I have a question on the GT. So what all is that, what all pertains to that? What extra functions do they get out of being part of GT?
What we do is during the RTI time when some kids might be working on some skills that they're struggling with, GT kids then work on some projects that help push them to another level. They have, I can't remember what they're called, the Texas, what are they called? Texas Standard, some kind of standards. Anyway, Texas has a GT curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
And they base it for each grade level, and we do the projects that come out of those Texas, whatever the standard, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Anyway, they do the programs, and it's usually, I don't know, building robots, or sometimes they do community service activities.
Yeah.
Kind of depends on what Texas comes up with for the year.
How often they do projects?
Well, they work on them every day.
I mean, so if they do a robot, is it 6 weeks? Is it a semester? Or
They're 6 weeks projects.
6 weeks.
Every 6 weeks they change.
Cool, 6 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we saw some last year. Did y'all bring some in last year? Yeah, so they did. That was pretty cool. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Pearson.
All right. As you're going, you can see there's a lot of upcoming events for us, football and volleyball. football, second half of their season. Volleyball's getting close to wrapping up as well. We have our fall pictures that are coming up on October the 12th. And some of the stuff that happened last month and this month, got some of the pictures that just kind of fall along with it. Our posters that our kids put out for running for student council. Had an election since then. Our representatives all throughout 8th, 7th, and 6th grade. So they're participating a lot. Again, our canned food drive that we just got through having, we got all the food that's over in the lounge. We just need to find a way to get the food over to CCS and get it donated, get that thing taken care of. Kids did a great job during the homecoming week. I got some pictures of the costumes that they were wearing, that they were going through, and some of them were pretty inventive. Some good crazy socks, good pajama day. So they did a really good job participating, and they had a fun time doing that. Our pep squad has been doing a great job. We have a lot of kids that show up not only the football games, but the volleyball games for the junior high. And so pictures of them leading cheers out in the stand, encouraging the kids as they're coming off after the game. They have a line for them. So there's a lot of positive interaction from them. Our science classes are rocking and rolling. Ms. Robinson's doing a great job in there, a lot of projects. They were building molecules on this time using Legos, which we got her some more Legos because she's wanting to do some more projects. And so she's been doing a great job. Ms. Buxton's been doing an excellent job in her classroom. All the kids working on their Chromebooks still, getting everything going. We're real fortunate and lucky that we were able to get our replacement Chromebooks in, because they're working so much better. And we appreciate y'all getting those for us. I mean, we really do. Athletics has been going well, and Coach Wiggins will talk more about that. Again, we got our picture day coming up. Our UIL academic practices have been going on. We started last week. They've been working on it this week. It's coming up quick for us. I think we're going to be doing some of the competitions on campus again like last year, and some over at Frank Phillips. That's going to be starting close to the end of this month. And so we already got our teams, people are getting ready to go on that. Ms. Bass has been doing a good job organizing everything for the UIL. We've got a lot of teachers signed up, a lot of teachers doing a lot of hard work, kids putting in a lot of hard work with that as well. Like I said, with the volleyball, football, the kids have been doing a great job on that. And they've been, every time I go to the games, representing us real well, taking care of business, doing what they're supposed to. Trying to set high expectations over there at the school, not only athletic-wise, but academic-wise, getting them accountable for what they need to do, and they need to push themselves. We're going to push them to do real as well as we can on the STAR test and make them achieve their full potential. And with the data, like I said, we got our Common Lit really started today. Had a program that we bought the first year. It's called Serious Education. I'm working with Texas, and it's 100% aligned with STAR. Same type of questions, same tools that STAR uses, and we do that during our advisory periods. 8th grade goes through every class, every test they're going to have to take: science, social studies, reading, and math. So they're doing that 4 days out of the week. The 7th and 6th grade, they're doing reading, they're doing writing, and they're doing math as well. And so we're trying to get these guys used to those STAR tests and used to the computers. That way, every time they do something online, it's not going to be a surprise for them, and they can have better success doing that.
Are y'all doing the compilations, like, you know, since you use a different program than the elementary, have y'all started pulling them down and kind of looking at them?
I've been working on getting that data. Teachers are still kind of getting used to it, so they kind of know how to go in there and score it. But then they've done several assignments. It's just, I got to make sure that they're getting in there, scoring it, submitting it, and then getting it to me so I can see everything. Ms. Buxton has done a good job with that, and Ms. Kim has done a good job with that. So I'm starting to get that data flowing in. I just get everybody
But it's
else's.
new to them?
Yes,
It's the
ma'am.
first, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you do the 6 weeks like Mr. Earls does?
With the DMAX, yes, sir.
Can we go ahead and have that too?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
One thing that's nice that we all use DMAC at every campus.
Okay.
So that's a good,
Yeah, and with the DMAC, it's good showing the test and the results. It's gonna be kind of hard comparing since it's unit tests and they're learning different stuff. But with the common lit and that stuff, that's a little bit more specific, looking at those areas because of the content and serious, and the serious is a little bit more specific as far as the data, as far as related to STAR and that type of stuff.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. Mr. Vanderpool?
Okay, we have been fast and furious on the high school, like we always are. We've been battling, I was out for a couple days in September, and I know some kids have been out in a couple days, and we've got COVID kind of starting to creep up. There was a weird kind of virus going around there for a couple days. I actually had strep. We've got a couple pictures. There's Mrs. Henderson's class. The campus ongoings right there. That picture is actually Miss Raff's geometry class. I was observing for my dissertation study, and she had them up doing, they had to name like angles, adjacent angles. It's geometry, so it's not really my bag, but she had them up and moving around, and she was going around checking the room, making sure that they knew what they were doing and had the answer correct before she would move on to the next group. Each student had their own set of lines and angles that they had to actually use. So it was really interesting to look at that. See, at the poll, we had a lot of kids there. I think Mr. Wiggins was there as well. It was very exciting to see the kids that excited about something like that, which tells you that the old standards are still there and that people do care about the community and things like that and their fellow man. Moving down, I have a picture of the cheerleaders at the game versus Stinnett, which the girls ended up losing, but they didn't give up. And if you haven't been to the volleyball games on a Tuesday night, Saturdays are a little bit different because it's a Saturday. A lot of those students will sleep in. But on a Tuesday night, when the football players get out of football, and those kids hang around for a volleyball game, they can get pretty loud. And it's exciting to see them cheering on their fellow students and getting excited for everybody. Friday nights, I can't say enough about Mr. Lucas and his band program. They always put on a good show. And I've got a couple good parents. Again, I stole this band picture from Facebook. I believe I was sick that night. But I've got a couple parents who, you know, I can't name them off the top of my head, but on the Facebook group, they make sure that band is put out there because a lot of times the band can be the forgotten man and they don't get enough credit. One of my favorite things at the last one of the volleyball games was Coach Wiggins got to call lines, and he was fist pumping the girls as they ran through the announcements. So it's exciting to see Coach Wiggins and the boys getting behind the girls. Around the campus, kids are working hard in each class. If you can scroll down, there you go. And right there in the middle is Mrs. Carr going to talk to Mrs. Phillips. I think she was getting ready to do a pre-conference for a T-test, which brings me into our data. Mrs. Carr's been doing data dialogues as we had our first 6 weeks test, so she's talking to everybody with core stuff. I'll have some data from those DMAC tests for y'all next time. I know Mrs. Armour set hers. It's more of a benchmark, not a unit test, so that she can get them ready for STAR tests. So I got to give her a shout out, and she always does really well. So you'll be able to see as she moves through the year, Ms. Lovejoy, some of those other ones move through the year and STAR tested subjects. You'll be able to see where the kids started and where they're headed. I actually heard one of the kids in the hallway say today, "Oh, I didn't think I was going to pass Mrs. Armour's test, but I did pretty well." So that's encouraging to hear, you know, that the kids, I think they're starting to believe that they are capable of more than they originally thought. Attendance, it's a struggle. We're at 94%. This was through September 30th. That's not where I want to be. Trying to keep in constant communication with parents. Like I said, we've had COVID starting to creep up. We've had kids out with stomach bugs. And it's just, and then there's always those kids that you're just trying to make sure they're at school. Because we do have some of those kids that, you know, maybe they don't see the value in education, or maybe they've got other things going on at the house. Because a lot of times as educators, I think we forget that kids have things going on in their personal lives as well, sometimes that we don't even realize. So trying to stay in constant communication with those parents, encourage them to get their kids to school. I do know there's one specific young man that I started to see over the last week and a half, because I made it a note to call his mom. I called her. He'd been kind of an attendance issue here and there, but he had turned the corner, and then COVID hit their family, and now I'm actually going to reach out tomorrow and make sure he's all right, because I want to make sure that, you know, each student has the opportunity to understand that just because they're out with COVID, hey, let's still hit it hard, and don't let that progress that you've gotten going drop off. So we're going to stay in contact with parents, try and get those attendance numbers up the best we can. Student enrollment count as of September 30th was 214. And the last week we've had 2 young men come and enroll. One I believe is from Lubbock, the other one is from Oklahoma. They will be starting, I think, within the next week. We're trying to get records on them. Upcoming activities. JV is playing an exciting 8-man game tomorrow.
I'll allude to that.
Yeah, I'll let Coach Wiggins talk about that. They've got Farwell October 14th, Olton October 21st, JV football at versus Boys Ranch October 28th. Volleyball, they just got done playing Memphis. They play Olton on Saturday here. So if you don't have anything going on, come out and watch some Lady Eagle volleyball. That's all 3 teams. Tuesday we play at WT. Then the 23rd, we play Vega here, and we finish up October with volleyball at Memphis the 26th. Football's got WT here Friday, rivalry game. So, and we are doing a blackout, so everybody's encouraged to wear their black and support the Eagles. 15th, the football team goes to Farwell. 22nd, they play Olton here, and the 29th, they go to Boys Ranch. Scrolling down. Honor roll came out after the first 6 weeks. We had a total of 84 students on the honor roll. That's A and AB, which equates to about 39% of the student body, which I think is a great thing to see. And if you scroll down, you can actually see their names by class and what honor roll they were on, A or AB. The blue is freshman, yellow is sophomore, orangish color is juniors, and the green is seniors. And to finish up, I've got a little bit of data on our dual credit offerings. I wanted y'all to see how many kids that we have enrolled in each class. We have 8 statistics students, 7 in college algebra, which is proctored by Mrs. Walker, and she does a great job with that. Our non-science and science biology classes, numbers 11. Our social sciences, we have 13 dual credit government, 17 in some form of U.S. history, which is 1301 and 1302, 10 in professional communication, which is the speech class. We've got also English 13, I believe it's 2311 and 2312, not 1301 and 2311. But we have 19 in the junior level class, 15 in the senior level class, and that equates to a total number of students with cosmetology, welding, electronics, and the advanced electronics, which is certifications. We have 49 students in some type of dual credit offering, which is 22.8%. Okay, now that's a pretty good percentage, but I've been talking with Mrs. Lyles and Mr. Garrison and some things like that, and we want to push. I think with our student population, if we can get them a career certification before they get out of high school, that's going to be the best thing for a lot of these kids so that they can go straight into the workforce if they want to. Or say if they want to go and pursue something else, like our CNA program, they can go get a job, work as a CNA, and pay their way through school while they work, and then go get an RN certification or a degree. But my goal right now is to find a way to pair with Frank Phillips and get some of these technical certifications to where we can get more than 2 kids in welding or 1 kid in cosmetology. Because I think there's a big push now for not just college, but you also have to think about those kids who want to go to a trade school or a technical school. I've got a person that I know personally that works at TCFA, Texas Cattle Feeders. If we could, and I've been in contact with him earlier in the year, if we could figure out a way to get the basic welding skills that they need out of the way somehow, some way through Frank Phillips, we could have those kids come out of high school, and it's a 2-day program. They go to Warncat, John Deere, places like that. They can learn how to drive a forklift, backloader, things like that. But it's a 2-day training, and they come out with a certification. So those kids would come out of high school after a 2-day training with some welding skills and a career certification that they could go use somewhere else. So, you know, we're looking at things, but I want to keep the big picture and do what's best for these kids. And, you know, we've got our kids that are going to go to college, but you don't want to forget about the ones that might not be interested in that. They may want to work with their hands. So ideally, that's what I'd like to try and get done. And like I said, I'll have some DMAC data for y'all next time after we get those data dialogues done. And I can't say enough about Mrs. Carr. She did a great job while I was out. She held things down. She's not here tonight, but I cannot say enough good things about her and the teachers on staff. They did a great job.
Do you know how many kids are in the Flex program?
Total off the top of my head, no. I could probably estimate it. I'd say somewhere between 25 and 40 for something. Yeah, for either a credit loss or trying to catch up or something like that.
Is that mostly juniors, seniors, or is it?
Yes, yes. And then if we have kids moving from like bigger districts, if their grades were not great as a freshman or sophomore, they may be classified as a freshman, but they may be 17. So they're in credit recovery. That's the big thing.
So can we have a report on that?
Yeah, I can get that for you.
Are we, I'm just wondering about, you know, what classes they're taking. Is it, you know, to try and they want out? I mean,
I've got several
I think of Flex as the last resort.
And
I
that's-
don't think of Flex as a core, you know, kind of a thing, and then you try to take other things.
No.
And so that's, I'm just wondering how many are.
I think we've got a handful right now that it's going to be the only way we could get them out. And then most of them are, I'm pretty sure, credit recovery.
Okay. And can you make a note too? Can you get us, or get Garrison, maybe he can get us a report on our graduation right now? How many are doing basic plan? How many are
Okay.
doing what?
To my knowledge, I don't think anybody's on a basic plan. I think when I've talked to Ms. Lyles, I want everybody to have an endorsement. The only way I want them to go to a foundation plan is if they have a special need for that. I do not want kids to be graduating on a no endorsement plan.
Well, I know that's a big red flag, and we don't want that either, but I've heard of a couple that may be on basic, so that's why I'm kind of curious.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah, we can have a report on that too. I appreciate it.
Endorsements and flex.
Any other questions? Thank y'all very much. We do like to know what's going on, and because we do hear things, and we always want to hear from y'all and kind of figure out what's going on.
I've printed this before. I've got
Yeah.
Mr. Wiggins, or
Okay.
Coach Wiggins.
Yeah.
When I printed this, he wasn't.
Okay, and I've got him on here, yeah. I
My
just
bad,
gotta get,
sir.
I just
You're
know
good.
you're here, I just gotta get out of the academic stuff, so now let's go to athletics. How's it going?
Great. First of all, I'd like to thank our teachers and kids and everybody involved in the academic side of it, because usually after grades, you're worried about holding teams down, especially on the football end of it. Still have a full 7th grade, still have a full 8th, still have a full JV and a full varsity in football. Volleyball, of course, we still have all of them, but the number that we lost was lower than what I anticipated based on previous years. And that's kudos to the kids and teachers working with them. But in the same token, we did lose some. So, you know, and I'll be honest with you, there's no excuse to fail here, so we don't give them an excuse. So we're working on those to try to get back there where they need to be. Volleyball, we let Stinnett come over and beat us. I think it was the first time in 6 years. We're going to go over there Tuesday and beat them. And then we'll, how that tiebreaker works is after we beat them, we'll go to a tie break, and if both coaches agree to flip, you can flip, but we're not going to agree to flip. So at that time, we'll play a playoff game just for a seeding, and that way we can still get the number 1 seed. So that's the plan going forward. On volleyball, I'm happy to say that Shahina just texted me, and junior high cross country ran district today at Stratford. We got first and second. those two kids will be here next board meeting so that you can see the medal draped around their neck, and they can be recognized as they need to be. High school district is a week from today at Stratford, and this past Saturday, we took several boys. I got ridiculed while I was at the course because there was several football players there, and they fill out a cross-country uniform a little different than most of your typical cross-country uniforms. And so, anyway, long story short, they competed extremely well. I was so proud of our kids, and it was just fun to see so many. I mean, I think we had 9 boys running, and there'll be more than that. This Saturday, there's a fun run at Sunray, and I'll probably round up as many as I can to go. There's $3 a head to get in. I'll bring them up on Saturday mornings, the football guys, and we stride to check for injuries and get soreness out, and then we get our 3rd lift in on Saturday. If kids choose to use that as their 2000s to stride, then I'll load them up and we'll go over there and run. And so I'm excited as far as our level of commitment. But just talking about growth, and just from what I've heard, it's pretty applicable on the academic versus the athletic standpoint. You're not going to be successful in any athletic sport whatsoever unless you master fundamentals. That's level 1. You can run any play in the world, you can have the best resources in the world, you can have the best facilities in the world, but you're not going to win unless you master fundamentals, and ultimately that's really our goal. You know, we can make kids faster and stronger, and that's ultimately it. We got to make them faster and stronger for every sport, but good football players are good football players because they learn how to block and tackle early. And some of the pictures you saw on that page, we've been utilizing that turf room. And so 6th grade PE, we've been learning how to block and tackle. Coach Fry and Coach Brewer take those 6th graders over there, and we learn how to pass the volleyball. The reason that Stinnett beat us in volleyball wasn't because we didn't have hitters. Those kids can get up there and hit the ball. We can't pass. We can't, and as a result, it's tough to set the ball and then serve. Those fundamentals will win volleyball games. And so, I mean, ultimately, if you focus on the fundamentals, then it's pretty easy to go be successful if you're sound fundamentally. So I think that's a goal in every athletic activity we have going forward, is to make ourselves fundamentally sound from the ground up. That's why we don't run a whole lot of plays offensively on football, and defensively we get good at what we do and just try to execute. Instead of coming up with a new playbook every week, we're going to do what we do and get better, and we've done that. Big game Friday, and I feel confident. I told the kids today that personally in my heart, you're better than that team, but they're good enough to beat you. And so you better go play, and that's ultimately where it is. Now, let's talk about Thursday night, tomorrow night. I got a phone call last night at the volleyball game, senior night, from Stinnett. They informed me that they did not have enough for a JV football team. I was informed all week last week, and it wasn't told any different that they would have a JV football. I guess due to unforeseen circumstances, they had 9 kids show up to practice the last 2 days for JV football. And so this late, and plus they start in district play, trying to find a JV football game this late in the game on a Tuesday night is next to impossible. So we both agreed to play an 8-man game, take off 2 linemen and a skill kid. And so if you want to watch an 8-man football game, because I told them, I said, guys, we're not going to get any better if we don't play. And these kids need to play. And when I'm not helping the program, not playing, and he's not helping his. So we both agreed to play an 8-man game. And so that's what we're going to do. And it may be open field tackle left and right because we got so much space to cover, but guess what? They're blocking and tackling. Like I said, you've got to master fundamentals, and in order for us to get the program better, we can't go a week without a playing game. They don't deserve that. So that's what we're doing. And like I said, I'm excited with athletics, the direction it's going. The kids are fired up. The community support's phenomenal. And old wise man told me one time, if you really want to make change, you really want to make change across the board, get enough people that care involved, and I think that's what's happened is people just got involved. And we didn't do anything necessarily as a coaching staff or anything else, it's just people got involved. And the attitudes changed, and you'll see a dramatic difference in the results as a result. Any questions?
I think it's great. Looks great.
Proud
Y'all
of
look
you.
great out there.
Kids are
Everybody
great.
matches.
Hey, did you see that?
Stacy brought this in.
Yeah.
Stacy.
This is yours. I will give it to you. This is all you get. This is it. Be careful with
You
it.
got Shahina a chipping green, is that what you did?
Yeah. Just be careful where you put it, but that's it. Maybe if you water it, maybe it'll grow.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
If it's okay, can I be dismissed? We're putting decals on helmets for our home first home football game, and the coaches are in there getting after it, and they're pretty tedious. So I told them I'd leave them the extra hand after I gave them.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And it's blackout, right, on Friday?
Yes, ma'am, I believe that's correct, so.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to Richard Wickens. Your turn.
Okay, I've got a few things to point out in the financial reports. Looking at the summary page, you'll notice our revenue is right around where it is normally for this time of year. Our expenditure is just slightly up. That's because we bought the bus. So that extra 100,000 is that little jump up there. You'll notice down at the bottom of the page, our activity account data is not there. My secretary was out, so we didn't have that in time for the report. We'll have it again next month. Refined ADA is still right around 644, which is what it was last month. You know, it's significantly down from where it was at the very start of school, but it's because our attendance has been pretty low in some places. So it is dropped significantly. I really hope once we get over all these various sicknesses, I mean, there's been all kinds of stuff, not just COVID. And so our attendance rates have been down. I really hope that'll jump back up. You know, throughout the year, it typically does a gradual decline. Historically, over the past 10 years, every year. There was one outlier year where it was just steady the entire year, but there's a slight decline over the year span. Not a huge decline, except for when we've had, like fire where a bunch of people went away, but there's just a steady decline. Well, I'm hoping that it jumps back up a little bit before it starts its steady decline. On the details page, one of the things to point out is just something for the future, is that you might see some of these, if you're watching it, you might see some of the places where it's like, okay, we spent, I don't know, in September's report we spent 100,000, and then we get to October's report and it's down to we spent 95. How did we unspend some money? Well, that's because of ESSER. Like ESSER 2 we haven't got our NOGA yet for ESSER 2, so the stuff that we buy with ESSER 2, we buy out of local funds. And then once we get our NOGA, which is a Notice of Grant Award, for those of you who haven't done, once we get our NOGA, then we can move the money to being paid for by ESSER. So initially it'll look like it's paid for out of local accounts, and then once we get those, it moves to a federal funds account. So you might see some expenditures go down. It's entirely possible. We did have one large expenditure that we actually did. Mr. Garrison and I talked about it because I had a time limit, and we had approved the ESSER 3 expenditure plan, which included the Chromebook upgrades we were going to do it in the spring, but our Chromebooks that were at the junior high weren't going to make it, and so I just went ahead and made that expenditure. It was $128,000, and it's entirely paid for by ESSER 3. So we already have that money. We'll be drawing it down. When we looked at the Chromebooks at the end of the year, we thought they were fine, but at the beginning of the year, it just became pretty evident that we had to do something, and we had to do something quickly. Since the money was being paid for by grant, we just went ahead and we moved it up from the spring and did the replacement immediately. So you will see down at the bottom, I've added to the report. My laptop is about to die on me, so if I may have to start looking at the screen. I added lines for each of the ESSER accounts so that you can see what we're spending on out of those federal funds. So you'll see that line item there where you can see that we spent for the laptops. This is currently the only thing we've taken out of ESSER. We're going to start I talked with my secretary today, and we're gonna try to, this week, move all the money that that we've, things that we've said we're gonna pay for with ESSER funds, we're gonna try to start moving those all this week, so that you should see that the expenditures go out. Now, all these federal funds, for those of you who are new, you spend the money first, then you draw it down. So there's always gonna be, the expenditure is always gonna be more than the revenue. So if you'll notice, none of the federal funds have any revenue yet, because the drawdowns, I actually do them at the end of this week. So that's just something to be aware of. And there goes my laptop. Any questions on the financial reports?
How old are them computers?
We bought them used, because they were the only things we could get. They were, we bought 450 used Dell Chromebooks, and they were a 4 or 5 year old model when we bought them. And we knew, we got a good deal, but it was the only thing we could get a hold of. We knew their lifespan was going to be limited. That's why we had planned to replace them at the end of this year. It's just they took a little more wear and tear than we had hoped this year. So we were, instead of replacing them at the end of the year, we replaced them at the beginning of the year.
So how long did we have those in our possession?
We got them when we were, so that we got them that spring break where we went to where school just stopped. We got them right like a month after that or something. So that would have been in April, a year and a half ago. Like I said, and we knew when we bought them that they weren't going to last a long time. So it was just the only thing we could do at the time.
So the ones we're buying, are they new or?
They're brand new models. They have an 8-year lifespan on them, assuming that they're not, broken. But as we charge kids when they break stuff, and we repair them in house. Actually, Felix does most of the repair for us. So they should last a significant amount of time. Google does it on Chromebooks. It's kind of weird. It's like a laptop. You can run this thing as long as it'll run, because as long as Windows will install on. With Google, it's not the same way. They actually put a expiration date that after this date, you can no longer get updates. I mean, you can no longer get new versions of the Google iOS. Well, the things like the testing browsers and stuff we use all require the up-to-date version of the iOS. So after 8 years, they'll be no good to us anyway. So, but yeah, they have up to an 8-year lifespan. We probably will budget to replace them in 5 years.
They make it 8, that'd be with kids.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty impressive.
Well, these ones we had probably were 6 to 8 years old as well. So they were just, at the time, they were the only things we could get. So because we had all the kids at home, and we were wanting to send devices home, and I mean, they did the job. Yeah, it was a large expenditure, but we got a good chunk of, we got 88,000 of that back through that we spent on them. We spent like 90-some thousand. We got 88 of it back through a federal PPRP program. So we really didn't end up spending a whole lot on them as well.
Okay. Oh, also, do you remember what the ADA was for last year?
At the end of the year,
Yeah.
it was 614. Yeah. Okay, then on the, okay, I'm going to steal these. On the quarterly investment report, were you done with questions? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay. On the quarterly investment reports, you can see that I did cash in the CD. So you can see on the Happy State Bank, the withdrawal of the $2,127,007.50. So, and because we just had to, because of cash flow, so that we could make it through payroll for this month. Actually, September, we needed it for September. We still have in our Techstar account, we still have over $1 million, so that's our current investment. The Happy State Bank money is either we've used to pay off, or it's in our savings account. What was left? We have a little over $1 million of it left, like $1.3 million I think left still. But we still have to pay off the half of the roof and a portion of the construction currently at the elementary. If the bond passes and once we're able to repay ourselves that $1 million, then we'll be able to put this CD back out there. So, any questions about the investment? Oh, there is one other thing to note, and I've talked with Mr. Garrison about this. Currently, I'm your only investment officer, and you have to have 2. So at the next board meeting, and we just didn't think of it in time for this board meeting, but at the next board meeting, we'll need to appoint Mr. Garrison as an investment officer. And then he has like 6 months to get the PFIA really boring training. So any questions on the investment? Okay, I had another item out there, the federal handbook. Okay, so we're required to show that to you, but if I was you, unless you really want to sleep, I wouldn't bother going into it. It's just all the rules that we have to use. These federal grants, it's the rules we have to follow. It's, you have to get bids, that type of stuff. The vast majority of those 90 pages don't even apply to us because other than ESSER, and so ESSER puts a new aspect in it because we actually are buying stuff, but prior to ESSER, for our federal grants, we used almost 100% of our federal grants on salary, so none of the actual procurement rules really apply to us except for in the cafeteria. And the cafeteria, we do follow the procurement. We don't spend enough to really get into trouble on the procurement in the cafeteria, except for milk. And so that's the one item we go out for bids on. But everything else, we just don't spend enough in each category, or we buy it off of a interlocal agreement with the Service Center Region 17. So most of the stuff, like I said, in this manual just doesn't apply. We just have to have one. If you get federal grants, you have to have a manual. So I get this from TASBO, and then I just go in and fill in the blanks and write business manager and all the blanks except for a few superintendents. So if there's any questions about the manual, I won't be able to answer them, but I'll try. Okay, and then just a couple other things. The construction, we are finally done with our punch list. So the Page and Associates is now out of the elementary wing. The roof starts, the material has started, and they will actually start putting it on Friday. They anticipate 2 weeks. And then the mason that's going to be doing the grout on the outside called us yesterday and said, hey, I'm ready to start as well. So we're calling him back and seeing if that he's going to be able to do it while the roofers are doing it, or if we need to delay him until after the roofers are done. So lots of things going on there, though. But so
The only thing we lack over there is it still just the floors now?
yeah, and custodial staff, I didn't get to talk to him today, but I'm going to talk to him tomorrow and see exactly where we are. They held off starting on the floors until we got the Promethean boards mounted again, and they finished those, I believe, today or yesterday, or they're done. We've also, we replaced the announcement system in the elementary this summer as well, because our old one shorted out. And we've gone and hooked that up. We just need to go through and test it. And so we wanted to do that before they started on the floors so that we didn't get a whole bunch of junk on the floors right after they cleaned them. So they'll be able to start, I believe, at any time now. So I'll just talk to him and figure out the exact schedule of how long he needs.
When y'all looking at moving back in?
As soon as the floors are ready. They were dropping the marker boards today. We're working on that. The Promethean boards are done. The speaker system is done. They're going to do the tests tomorrow morning to make sure they're working in the rooms. They finished that today, and yeah, as soon as we're ready to go, as soon as they're ready to tell us we can go.
So that's where we are on everything that I'm aware of.
Any other questions? Okay, Jason?
All right, my calendar, I didn't put any really in the sporting events or that type of thing on there, just I have PSLA on Wednesday, and that's my first mentor-mentee meeting that I'll get to go to that afternoon after PSLA. Our band performs October 16th at 1:45 at Dick Bivens. If y'all can make it out to that, they've done an outstanding job so far this year. And then when I made this report, the COVID cases were about done, and then now this week we're back up to you know, you can add about 6 to 7 on the student side of that and a couple of staff, so really hitting the junior high at the moment, and so we're keeping an eye on that. And again, we've talked about the ADA already and our attendance, and with admin is working on that, and we actually have an admin meeting on Friday morning to discuss a few things, and so we'll get several things taken care of then, so.
So next time there'll be an attendance.
Oh, I did.
Percentages?
Yeah, I can do that, I understand, but I just put the whole percentage at the bottom, I didn't do it per.
Anybody else have any other questions? Okay, let's set a date for our next meeting. So, the second week of November, when is the election?
Second.
Second. So we'll still have football, we'll have volleyball still? Volleyball will be over or not yet?
No. Right, they won't have no
So
Wednesday.
you want to do the 10th? Let's just make the 10th to be. So it'll be November 10th at 6. And then while we're looking at that, on the town halls and the open bond information, do y'all just all want to try and come if you can? Or do y'all want to schedule each other, make a spot? What do y'all want to do?
We did get a posting from the lawyer, the bond lawyer, that we're going to post a notice that there may be a quorum in attendance, but it's not an official meeting.
Okay.
So it's okay if there's a quorum of you there.
Okay, because I think last time that's why we all split up into different buildings. There was only like 2 or 3 of us.
Three.
Yeah, but you can do.
But it's just the elementary, I mean,
Yeah, but if we're not all congregated in the same
same area.
area, it doesn't count.
Yeah, and we just can't talk about, we can talk about,
Well,
you know,
we're not talking about
what's going to go on or what we're looking at, but we can't talk about anything. It's
To
just-
each other.
Right, yes, to each other. Okay. All right, so I just say if you can come to any of those times, come, and if you can't, then it's good. Okay, anything else?
If, I just got a suggestion, if we have recognitions again or something, we'll probably make sure I do that on a different night or something, Tuesday or Thursday or something.
For,
If we have recognitions again for people,
oh,
I think that's, a lot of kids are probably missing for church and all that too. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. A lot of
So-
times it's just their jobs if they don't come, but
Right.
yeah. Okay, all right, and, all right, so I'm gonna call us into closed session at 7:25. Huh? No, I'll just ask for it. Okay. All right, I'll call us back in at 8:12. Right, and, so we were back there discussing the superintendent's contract, and do I have a motion?
I move that the board approve the superintendent's contract for Jason Garrison beginning October 6th, 2021, ending June 30th, 2023, for duties as assigned.
Okay, I have a motion by Doug. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Logan. All in favor? No opposed, the motion carries. I call for adjournment at 8:13, sorry.
Second.
Second from Billy. All in favor? Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Nope, but we have a video.
Oh, good, because I was gonna go for the top of that.
I just have a draft.